Good morning. I am so glad to be a part of this. And even though I'm away from you locally, thank God for technology and all it has done to connect us no matter where we are. So hello and good morning from Alabama. And I'm grateful for this wonderful day that has been the dream child of this committee that's worked so hard behind the scene to thrust the idea of continuing to impress upon our community is need to continue to grow and our need to serve those initiatives. Vax Des Moines has been part of our community efforts since 2021. It came out of the need, which at that time was the issue of COVID-19 and the sufferings that were going on amongst us. And the coming together was the significant foundation of people across many companies, communities, institutions, as well as churches, to say, let's do something, and specifically for the underserved community. And so from that, we were able to see great success through the efforts of just being intentional about caring for people. From that initiative, we knew that there was a need to continue efforts to try to minimize the significance of those who may be suffering from lack. And in the midst of that, we looked at different social determinants to say some of these things existed. I guess COVID just gave us more of an exclamation point to what was happening in our community. And so it also thrusted us to say, let's be who we're supposed to be. The scripture will call us our brothers and sisters keepers. And so we who have been blessed, we who have the professionalism, we who have been given talents, those skills all should go towards the betterment of humanity. And so out of Vax Des Moines' efforts and its ownership for that came the continuance, which we now call Corinthian Cares. And the whole idea of Corinthian Cares is very simple. We just want to be the conduit that helps get professionals who can help meet needs to the people who need those needs met. And so in the midst of that, this effort today is about dealing with affordable housing. And so it is our efforts and dreams and our goals to simply move the needle. So as we are having this first webinar today, I'm sure between these two, we're going to get some great information. But from that information, we want it to be inspiration that brings movement. And then we want that movement to be impactful, because the whole goal of all of this is to make sure that we move the needle. So wherever we are, wherever that reality is, in the coming days and months and even years, we want to see that needle move into a much more better position of the community which we so very love. So welcome. And I know we're going to have a spirited conversation, and I'm glad to be a part and have you a part of this wonderful, wonderful expression. So God bless you.
Okay, I think that moves things right along to me. So Pastor Whitfield, thank you for those inspiring words in bringing a welcome. So as we get started, let me first of all say that I am especially pleased about facilitating this panel discussion, given its focus on accessing affordable home ownership. You see, growing up, land ownership was something that was taught, that was instilled in me. I can remember as if it were yesterday, my mother quoting her father saying, "They aren't making any more dirt." So it's wise to acquire land. You see, this concept then kind of shaped my thinking and thus guided my interest in investing in real estate. So today, I am humble, and I give thanks at being able to provide comfortable and affordable housing for families, and hopefully helping them to achieve habits, financially responsible habits, and a mindset that's congruent with one day achieving home ownership for themselves. You see, I firmly believe that this kind of wisdom fueled my life's passion to focus on other people, seeking ways and means to help and aid families, women, children, gain and sustain well-being. Pastor put it, facing lack. As such, I sought a professional career that helped people gain employment. And then I sought out organizations and boards that generally focused on working in spaces that educate, advocate, and promote a quality of living for under and unserved populations. And of course, the church was integral in affording me the opportunity to serve. But to reach beyond the church, I have been intentional in linking up with other like-minded individuals through board participation, where I can actively engage this work. And so I am a member of the Friends of Iowa CASA and Foster Care Review Board, as well as the African American Case Consultation Team with the Department of Health and Human Services, where we work with families, women, and children. I also sought membership with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, as well as the National Association of Colored Women's Club, where through the local chapters, I continued this servant work in programming around education, economic development, physical and mental health, as well as political and international awareness and involvement. So Barbretta and Sora Barbretta, thank you so very much for thinking of me to facilitate this panel discussion on accessing affordable home and ownership. But enough about me, because more importantly, this discussion is about the opportunity to highlight another opportunity to highlight, and as Pastor also said, move the needle and find solutions to many of the problems of those facing lack, financially deprived or challenged individuals, re-engaging the vision of Dr. Martin Luther King to give attention and address conditions of the economically challenged and the poor. And so this discussion, my friends, are timely, as we will acknowledge, or we do acknowledge in this discussion, the upcoming 55th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act. The Act's history, as it is found on the Fair Housing Equal Opportunity page, reminds us that while the enactment of this federal Fair Housing Act was done on April 11th of 1968, and it did happen, but it came, excuse me, it came only after a long and difficult journey that actually began back in 1966, where Congress regularly considered this bill, but failed to garner the strength enough to get the majority for its passage. So it's only then, after the death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose name had been closely associated with the fair housing legislation, that President Johnson was able on April the 4th to utilize this national tragedy, unfortunately, to urge the bill forward and get congressional approval. You see, the president viewed the act as a fitting memorial to Dr. King's life work and wished to have the act passed prior to his funeral. But here we are today with still work to be done. So let's get started with this conversation and continue to move forward in finding solutions and solving the problem for families that face lack. We will get started with Kenia Calderon Ceron. Kenia is Vice President and Bilingual Business Development Director at GREENSTATE Credit Union. Kenia is an alumnus of 40 Under 40 and a consistent advocate for Latinas, immigrants, and refugees, assisting them in gaining access to affordable home ownership. Having grown up as an immigrant and experiencing the obstacles faced daily, she expresses passionate interest in the well-being of the immigrant community in Iowa, aspiring to improve the financial lives of Iowans. As such, she strives to address the challenges through her career and community involvement. Let us now hear from Kenia.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to everyone that's joining us for this very important conversation. I think it's safe to say that most of us that are joining here are here because we're very passionate about home ownership and fostering home ownership among underserved communities that have intentionally been excluded from home ownership, especially in our state. And as Reverend Robin mentioned, I am also passionate about this specific topic because I grew up as an undocumented immigrant in Des Moines. I came from El Salvador when I was 11 years old, and I recently formed part of the Latinx Project. So it's a research project, a report that states and looks into the state of Latinos in central Iowa. And one of the pieces that we found through this report that it takes an average of 16 years for an immigrant household to have a mortgage under their name. 16 years. And as I'm sitting surrounded by community leaders, I start to do the math of how long it took my parents to have a mortgage under the name. And it was exactly 16 years to that day when I found this information. So I think it's safe to say that we all understand the obstacles that we face when families are renting and are unsure of their housing, especially when a lack of legal status is involved. And that's why one of the things that I focus here at GREENSTATE Credit Union is expanding mortgages to undocumented immigrants so that they can utilize their ITIN number, and we can dive into that later, so that they can also have an opportunity to own their home and build generational wealth through homeownership.
Thank you so much, Kenia, for your insights with regard to the immigrant population and the research that has been done in that area. Is there anything additional that you would like to share with us that came as a part of the research project that you were a part of that you think is important for people to know? Are there any solutions or things that they might be able to do or should do that will help them in this process?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we learn and we see here at GREENSTATE as well is that people think that they can't qualify for a mortgage, or that people think that because of their lack of legal status, that's not something that's accessible to them. So one of the barriers that we are breaking or trying to address is the lack of awareness, because somebody can build credit through their ITIN number. So an ITIN number stands for Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. So the IRS created this number for people that don't have a social security number today to be able to follow tax law. And there's a misconception out there that undocumented immigrants don't pay taxes, but studies year after year prove that immigrants contribute to state and federal taxes. We just can't access it back, in a way. So if you think about it, that's a really great model for folks to be able to collect taxes, but not be able to benefit any of the programs such as Social Security and so on. So while we have a population of underserved people contributing to our city, they are also being left behind when it comes to homeownership and affordable homeownership. And so credit unions for some time have been trying to address this and be able to offer a solution. And that's how we arrived at ITIN lending. So ITIN lending started as early as helping folks build credit so that in the future they have access to homeownership. And so at GREENSTATE, we have created this path for people to become banked first, understand how the financial system works in the United States, and also be able to access that dream that they have. Most immigrant and refugees, when they move to the United States, they don't think it's going to be, oh, we'll be here for a year or two, and then we'll go back home. unfortunately, many of our countries are just not able to support us in the way that we need our families to be supported. So when we come to the United States, we have to start from zero and think and envision that this is the place where we're going to be and retire and see our families grow. And one way that we can help families set roots in Iowa is by helping them on their property. And like I mentioned, I watched my parents rent, and we moved every 2 years to a different home, always in the east side of Des Moines. I'm loyal to the east side of Des Moines. I don't know that we will ever leave, but I also remember the struggle that came with it. You don't sleep the same at night when you're sleeping in somebody else's property. And so one thing that I think it's very important to mention is that while we help immigrants or communities of color own their homes, we're also helping them improve their health, so that once they're done worrying about housing, they can worry about their kids' education. They can worry about getting a better paying job. They can worry about all these other things that we don't have a ton of space in our minds when we're constantly worrying about what are we going to do about rent, or where are we going to leave after our lease is up. And so ITIN lending is a solution that can be implemented not just at credit unions, but in different agencies that are helping drive homeownership in Des Moines.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for that additional information. And I heard you make some really good points. And really about mindset and understanding, awareness. Hopefully, I'm sure that the credit union is doing this. And if there are other organizations that you might be involved in, that people can learn, you know, what this process is like once you migrate into the country, and when you get settled here, what does that process look like?
Yeah.
You know, moving forward and gaining ownership. 16 years, it is a lot of time, right? To have go by. So awareness and educating people is extremely important. So for our listeners, I hope that you will reach out to Kenia and other presenters to understand more, where you can find out information about what you can do. You talked about building credit and the need for that. You talked about health. And that is so true. When we suffer lack, and especially financial lack, it has impacts beyond just the material things. And so that is definitely a point worthy of taking note of, and then educating ourselves and finding out where resources are that can help us move the needle, as pastors say, and address some of the problems that face our communities, and many communities, far too many. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Any closing comments or any other thoughts that you care to share before we move on to the next presenter? I
always like to leave with a call to action. So okay. I sometimes I tell myself I'm a retired activist, and as activists and an advocate always has a call to action. And I think today we have a lot of folks that are dedicated to homeownership. So my call to action for everyone is to not be afraid of learning about immigration, because immigration is a very complex topic. And there's a difference between somebody that's a refugee and somebody that came here as an immigrant. And so know the difference, so that when you are advocating and speaking to different folks, that you know at least the very basis of why someone might not have a social security number, or why someone might not be able to get behind the line or just apply for citizenship. So very small details that can help folks be able to expand your efforts and be inclusive of immigrants and refugees in Iowa. Thank you all.
Thank you again. I had to unmute. So I hope that you took those nuggets away. You made some notes, folks. And Kenia, thank you so much for your insights and your presentation. We will now move on to our next presenter, who is Jerry Gearhart. Terry Gerhardt. Terry is Vice President of Lending with Neighborhood Finance Corporation. First, let me say thank you, Terry. Thank you for your service in the Air Force of our United States Military Forces. We sincerely appreciate you. Give me just a second here. My system is, make sure that I cut this down. There we go. With that, Terry is a lifelong Iowan, being born and raised in Cedar Rapids. He expresses a passion for revitalizing homes, keeping communities strong and vibrant. A results-oriented leader, Terry has been involved with mortgage lending for 30 plus years and revitalization specifically since 2007, specializing in renovation lending, in the renovation lending field. He is here today to share resources, knowledge with the community on assessing affordable home ownership. Terry, the platform is yours.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much. It's certainly a privilege to be a part of this panel and sharing information today. So I too, even as a panelist, am listening and taking notes and trying to take some positive things away from today. So here at, I've had many roles. I've seen a lot of different cycles throughout lending through the years. I've been at Neighborhood Finance since now 2018. And what Neighborhood Finance does is we provide unique lending programs and services that help facilitate revitalization efforts throughout Polk County and Cedar Rapids through partnerships with local residents, governments, community-based organizations, lending institutions, and the rest of the business community. This is all made possible with partnerships that we have through the city of Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, West Des Moines, Windsor Heights, Urbandale, Polk and Lynn counties. And then so in the Des Moines and Cedar Rapids area, financial institutions, along with many neighborhood associations. So we're a chartered member also of NeighborWorks America. We've been in Des Moines now as a licensed lender, but we're a local nonprofit. We've been in Des Moines now for 32 years. We expanded over into the Cedar Rapids market based on need, and that was back in October of 2018. So entering our fourth year there. 60 to 70% of everything that we do here really goes to serve those neighborhoods really that need that revitalization effort and need. So it's 60 to 70% of the low to moderate income census tracts neighborhoods are the areas that we serve. Overcoming barriers. So there are a lot of different barriers when it comes to, financing a home and lending. And as Kenia pointed out earlier, I think one of the biggest barriers that they have basically is probably credit. The other one is going to be down payment and savings. So what we're designed to do here is, we help facilitate financing and provide funding to people that want to purchase a home. And then we provide them resources to help with loan forgiveness towards maybe repairs or improvements to homes that they're looking to buy to make sure that they're, in good condition, help keep them sustainable. We also have different programs available here for down payment assistance. So we have our own, deferred loan that we use for down payment assistance here called Neighborhood Reinvest. We also get funding for down payment for qualified applicants through Federal Home Loan Bank. We've got a new program pending with Polk County that's going to be launched very soon for families buying homes where the household incomes are under 80% of the median income limits. And then our newest venture here that we launched here about a year ago was, we call it J2H. It's called Journey to Homeownership. So Journey to Homeownership was launched as a part of the One Economy report that was done to help us address disparity of homeownership in the African American community. And then so goals were set to improve education, financial literacy, remove some of these barriers to a system with down payment assistance programs, creating affordability in financing, and help create generational wealth by becoming homeowners. We received a $1 million grant through the CDFI that we offer these services now in Polk County and Lynn County. And one of the other panelists that's going to be joining you on Thursday's call, Bridget Robinson. Bridget Robinson was hired here as a diversity and inclusion community outreach loan originator, and she has done just a remarkable job in getting this launched. And her efforts just in community outreach, we've certainly been moving the dial when it comes to just minority lending and getting those things increased. So we are having an impact of what we're doing through that program. We hope to raise capital soon to be able to, extend this down payment assistance program to all minority groups outside of the African American community. So that will probably be coming at a later date. And then the other thing that we did was, once you get into a home, we're getting ready to launch a new initiative with an energy advantage program. So one thing that people sometimes don't think about is, the total expense of owning a home and how those energy costs really impact, a family's budget. And so what we've done here is we've partnered with the energy group, Mid-American Energy. We've got some funding that's now been put into place where we're going to be offering an additional benefit where we can layer all of these services together, which basically will help reduce what a borrower has to finance. So right now, when we're in an area and a time where we've seen, rising home prices, we've seen rising interest rates, it's more important now than ever that we have these additional tools that we can use to help create and make homeownership more affordable. From the credit side of things, we don't want to tell somebody no. It might not be, when we have to decline somebody because of credit or they don't have the down payment, things like that, we just want to tell them not today. And then what we want to do is we want to connect people with our community partners and resources such as Home Inc., such as maybe the Evelyn K. Davis Center or Horizons in Cedar Rapids, where we use community resources to partner our customers with and help them get the assistance and education that they need through homebuyer education as well to address issues of, credit challenges, what we can do to fix things, what we can do to build it. We want to address, with them through those agencies, how that they can create, a budget through the financial literacy piece, being able to create a savings plan and save some at least minimum money to where they can now prepare themselves and create a pathway to get into homeownership. So that's what we do here. I've heard the word passion sprinkled around a couple times this morning, even before our series got started. And for me, I probably trump passion. I'm beyond that. Truly believe this. It's deep in my core, and we love what we do. So thanks for having me again today.
Oh, Terry, thank you for being here. Again, lots of really good information that was dropped. And as Terry said, I think that was an invitation, Terry, to everybody to pick up the phone, give me a call, reach out, set up an appointment, because
Yes.
Lots of resources to offer. And I really, really, really like the process of layering things so that there's like wraparound services and not saying no, but just saying not today, perhaps. All of those things are important. I think it goes a long way in helping people on that journey. So make sure that you get Terry's contact information, as well as every panelist that will be on today, and so that you can reach out and get more specifics about how they might be resourceful to you in your journey, whether it's at the very, very beginning of the process, or maybe somebody might be within the process of trying to gain a home. Lots of good information shared there with getting help from for credit down payment, to loan forgiveness programs, and building that generational wealth. So Terry, any closing comments before we move right on to our next panelist?
Yes, just one. And the call to action piece. So, referring and just to kind of summarize what you said, I think, there are a lot of lenders out there, and lenders do different things. But I really want to make sure that when customers come here, that they feel that we're an advocate. We're there in their corner trying to look out for their best interest, and we're not just another transaction. So this is, you're making lifelong decisions, lifelong choices to help you get started. You want somebody that's going to be able to take you, walk you through those steps. And today, I think too often, too many people that actually go out there to buy, they get rushed, they get in too much of a hurry, they leave things on the table or that they wish they might not have otherwise done. So I think just taking the time to get yourself prepared, understand what might be available to you and why, and how you qualify for it, I think we can help use those services to raise the bar. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you again, Terry. So don't forget, Terry is there to help and to serve. Now we will move to Rachel Scott Oakley. Rachel is a certified financial counselor and Polk County Financial Empowerment Site Coordinator with the Polk County Financial Empowerment Center, which is a part of the Evelyn K. Davis Center for Working Families. Rachel's professional prowess boasts expertise managing in systems, serving and connecting individuals needful of resources and opportunities. She is dedicated to living her values and executing her vision to create valuable opportunities for underrepresented individuals and communities. Rachel, we're so excited to learn from you now.
Thank you. I am going to actually share a screen, and you actually pronounced my name, Rochelle. We have a Rachel here, and so I just want to make sure that we keep each other clear on who's who. I got a couple of extra letters is what I just kind of tell people or whatever. I got another L and the E on the end of my name. But either way, I'll still respond to the information.
No, it's you. It's Rochelle. I'm sorry, I said Rachel, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So my apologies, Rochelle.
Yes. Okay, so I am going to try to bring this up. Now, are you able to see the screen here?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to slide it over. Okay, so.
Well, now, okay, there it came. It came back.
Okay, can you see it?
We can
Yes,
see
okay.
it, but I'll tell you that we're seeing it. We're not seeing it in your presentation mode. We're seeing it with where the next slide comes up.
Let me see here. I'm not sure how.
You're fine. We can see it, but
yeah,
it's just in the.
It's fine. And if you wanted to, Rachel or Rochelle, you could unshare your screen and then go back to share the screen and click on the screen that you have the slide pulled up in.
Okay, let me do that.
In the meantime, there was a question for contact information. I will put email contact information. I'm taking a leap here and assuming that all the panelists are okay with that. I'll put that in the chat for everyone to have that contact information to reach out to the panelists today.
that would be awesome. And if anybody opposes or wants a different contact email provided, please chat Luke directly.
Okay, I'm going to try it again here and see if this is going to, let me see this. I'm not sure if this is going to do it the way I want to. If it shows up in the presenter's view again, I am going to just leave it there that way, only to kind of save time for us.
It's perfect. We can see it.
Okay, great. All right, so thank you for having me here to be a part of the panel today. So every speaker that has, done their share so far, I can relate. I believe my team can relate to everything that they're saying, and I'll talk a little bit more about those. But because our center is basically, like Robin mentioned, we offer like wraparound services, and there's so much stuff. And so I put together like a quick little PowerPoint that I will help me to make sure I don't miss any of the key things. So I want to kind of go back to what Terry was speaking about. Terry mentioned the One Economy report, the state of Black Polk County. And so I'm going to start there. And so to say that the Polk County Financial Empowerment Center actually came to this area based on information that was concluded from in this report. In that report, as Terry mentioned, some of the things that the report identified that could help to improve the lives of Black Polk Countyans were health, education, financial literacy, employment, housing, all of the things that we are talking about here today, and also things that the Evelyn K. Davis Center is able to provide. Once this report was generated, the leaders of the community, they saw that they had an opportunity to try to do something to try to help. And for those of you who are not familiar with this report, what this report showed is that while Polk County itself is a recipient to many different types of awards, you may have seen, such as Polk County is a great place to raise a family. Polk County is a great place to start a career. Polk County is a great place to buy your first home. Polk County is a great place to retire, so on and so forth. You get the point. And so basically what the report showed is that while those three things are true, those things are primarily true for individuals that are white. Okay, and that the Black Polk Countyans are basically living in a different city. So it's kind of like a tale of two cities. And so from that, Polk County's Board of Supervisors learned about a program that was funded by Mike Bloomberg, the billionaire out of New York. And Mike had started or the Bloomberg Foundation has started a program via the Cities for Financial Empowerment. And in New York City, that was their first business model or business case. And so they had funding that was available. And so various cities and communities across the country had been applying for this funding. And so Polk County applied for this funding and they received funding. And so that is how the Polk County Empowerment Center came to be in this area. And the reason, even though, so let me just explain this also, because this is where people kind of get confused. I am a DMAC employee. I work in the Evelyn K. Davis building, but Polk County is our government oversight. Okay, so that's how all those pieces work together. And so whenever myself or someone from my team or even anybody in the building is out presenting information about the center, I always want to make sure that I take time to talk about these additional services. So as you can see on this slide here, just really quickly, in addition to the financial education that our team provides, we also provide career coaching and counseling. And that could be anything from helping the individuals create the resumes to mock interviews, participating in job fairs, making individual contacts to employers to help those individuals. Another of our programs is YXL. The YXL program is a program that is geared towards young people between the ages of 16 and 24. We have a summer program. We invite those individuals to come back in, to us, and we help those young people learn about the soft skills or the skill sets that they need to have in order to be successful when they step out into the workforce. This past summer, we had approximately 130 young people that participated in the program. We not only pay the individuals while they're learning that skill set, we also pair them up with employers so that they can get that additional experience in the real workforce. We have the Men on the Move Closet. The Men on the Move Closet is a spot that we have in our building where men can come, doesn't have to be the man, their wife or spouse, or someone can come in and get clothing for men. And those clothing attire items range anywhere from just slacks, dress shirts, shoes, entire suits, etc. It's free, it's available for individuals. And with that, that's not on the slide that we work closely with is Dress for Success, which is the female version of the Men on the Move. One of my close partners in this whole process is the Small Business Solutions. I know a lot of people are very familiar with the Small Business Solutions portion of our services. That is the program that's run by Curtis Baugh. Curtis has received many different awards because he's been great over the years of helping individuals primarily, but not only young Black entrepreneurs get their businesses started or to help those businesses carry on. We have Opportunity Passport. Opportunity Passport is a program that works with individuals who have been in the foster care system as little as 1 day, right? And so that program was actually started by the Casey Foundation. They have a lot of different programs that they start, but they are very philanthropic and they want to be able to give back to the community. And then finally, we have like digital skills and a few other programs like English as a second language and anything else that, you know, we continue to try to create opportunities and programs that individuals in our community might be interested in. Now back to the Polk County Financial Empowerment Center. So again, as I mentioned, we're a grant funded program. So while we initially started and we received our funding from the Cities for Financial Empowerment, we are, the bulk of our funding does come from Polk County as well as various other entities, United Way, various financial institutions, and so on. And so again, Evelyn K. Davis is a nonprofit partner in this triangle relationship. And so when we have individuals come in, I know I heard Kenia mention as well as Terry, we talk about like credit, building the financial wealth or the generational wealth. We want to get people, if we can, away from their reliance on that public assistance. Although we still will make referrals to individuals that need that assistance, we want to just give the individuals that we work with options. And so we focus on helping those individuals to do those bullet point items, decrease debt, increase savings, helping them to improve their credit score and to offer them some safe banking services and products. And then quickly, some achievements that our program has been able to accomplish over the last, coming on our 2-year anniversary. We've been able to serve, you know, just shy of 1,000 clients. We've had just under 1,800 outcomes. We have been able, over the duration of the program or through the end of December, we've been able to help the clients that we serve reduce their non-mortgage debt by over $2 million. Excuse me, that was a milestone that we reached back in September. And then we've also been able to help these same individuals increase their savings by just a little over $700,000. Folks, that's huge for this short time period. You know, when we say that these are what our outcomes are, that we're helping individuals increase their credit score, we're helping them. Our goal is to help them increase their credit score by 35 points. But in a lot of cases, we're helping those individuals increase their credit score by much more than that. And we are also helping them to reduce their non-mortgage debt in a lot of cases by more than the 10%. So we're really proud of the program and the services that we offer, both at the Evelyn K. Davis Center as well as the Polk County Financial Empowerment Center. And so I wanted to point out that we have had a lot of success stories. I'm a part of several different committees, and I've gotten our team to be a part of several different committees. I'm sorry, excuse me. Neighborhood finance is one of those things. Our team recently became ambassadors for the J2H, or the Journey to Home Ownership program. And so we've hosted one workshop in the building. We have another one coming up later on this month. And as Terry was mentioning, you know, the Journey to Home excuse me, I can't talk now. Journey to Home Ownership program is a great program. And while it's focused right now on helping Blacks or African Americans or those in the African diaspora to understand that home buying process, you know, we're looking forward to when they open it up so that, you know, other underrepresented groups can participate in that. So we do that. We also are on the committee for the first time Black and Brown homeowners, on the subcommittee for the Financial Inclusion Committee for One Economy. We have started a new partnership with Habitat for Humanity, and we are continuing to expand our relationship with HUD. And HUD told me after I invited them to our last Journey to Home Ownership workshop that that we should automatically just put them down for everything that we do because they will be there. So we were excited about that. And I guess our call to action is that, you know, we want to help move that needle. We want to do all the things that, you know, the program was created for, that Evelyn K. Davis created, or that the center was created for in her namesake. And so please contact us, email us, call us. We will be happy to assist you in trying to, you know, achieve whatever your individual or household goals might be. Thank you. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here.
Thank you so much, Rochelle, for that very detailed report. Thank you so much for that. As you were talking, I was kind of thinking you said it's the One Economy report, correct? And so would you recommend that people go out, because I think it's public, they can access that, correct? And just try to understand, look over that report, because I always say, and I think most people say, what, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. When we can educate ourselves, understand the conditions and parameters of what we're dealing with and within what systems and so forth, then we can make better decisions, wise decisions. The other thing that all of it was certainly impressive. But I thought about the fact of helping people to increase their credit scores truly helps them position themselves to start generating wealth. And that's kind of odd that you got to have a good credit score, and it's hard to get a good credit score when you don't have finances that people will lend and so forth. So that is phenomenal. And I think I heard you said, and so maybe I don't know if I got the number right. Did you say around 7,000 in savings, helping people?
So I think the number that I mentioned, Robin, was for the duration of the program from March 2020 through December 2022. We had helped like that 980 folks or so save around 718,000, you know, additional dollars.
Awesome.
I think is what you're referring to, right?
Yes, yes. Was that collective or individually?
That's collective.
Which is still great.
Yeah.
Which is still great, especially in an environment where it's, you know, it's very difficult to save. And so changing that mindset and getting people to think about saving. So awesome. Do people come in and do they get assigned maybe I don't want to say a case manager, but a representative to work with them in strategizing their journey or their process?
Yes, exactly. So the individuals will be assigned to work with one individual. And I should mention, all of our coaches or counselors are certified. So they've been through the testing process. So they have the knowledge to be able to assist. So they will work with one person unless, you know, something needs to change. They'll stay with that person for the most part for their journey. And when the individuals come into us, I should also mention that we do credit pulls for those individuals that they want, and they are soft credit pulls, so they will not impact that individual's credit report.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you again. Thank you so very, very much. We appreciate all of the information that you've shared. And I think we did achieve what I said, that we were going to learn from you today. So thank you so much for that. Next up, Jan Zalecki. Jan is the Director of Counseling Programs and Services with Home Inc. Jan has an MS in counseling, a BA in sociology, and 11 years of experience working in housing, with the last 3 years at Home Inc. A true team player, Jan has a passion for helping the underserved, utilizing her skills and educational background to place individuals in situations where they can become self-sufficient, feel a sense of purpose, and be successful. Through her support of housing counselors, many individuals achieve stable housing and home ownership. Jan, let's keep the information flowing. Now we will hear from you.
Thanks, Robin, and thanks to Bobretta for inviting me to speak today. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of why we do what we do at Home Inc. First of all, like, why is affordable housing important? Affordable housing is important to families. You've kind of heard a little bit of this already, but aside from just the basic need for shelter, children do better in school without disruption of moves. Housing is a social determinant of health. It reduces stress, toxins, infectious diseases, and it improves physical and mental health. It also frees up funds so that families can pay for other necessities like food and healthcare. Affordable housing is important to communities. It helps communities to retain their workforce. It helps to stimulate economic growth, and it prevents kind of heavy emergency utilization of healthcare and other emergency services. At Home Inc., we kind of see housing as a basic human right. In 1948, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in accordance with the United Nations. And this recognized housing as a component of the human right to an adequate standard of living. And it challenged politicians around the world to determine a strategy to establish a higher standard of living. While that was kind of established in 1948, we've kind of struggled with this concept. By the mid-1960s, unjust government policies like redlining and restrictive land use laws made it almost impossible for most minorities, Black Americans, to purchase a home and build equity. In 1966, Dr. King led the Chicago Freedom Movement to call attention to those policies. This movement led to the passing of the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which made it illegal to discriminate against anyone looking to rent, buy, or access financing for housing nationwide. That was 55 years ago, and yet we still struggle with this racial disparity today. Kind of a personal story for me. My husband is Ethiopian. He's an immigrant to the country, and he's also Black. In about 2001 in the Twin Cities, we were looking for housing. We asked our realtor there to show us housing in Maple Grove, which was kind of an up and coming suburb at the time. We knew housing values were on the rise there and really wanted to be in that area. We had a decent income, we had good credit. Our realtor kept showing us houses in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, which were close to Maple Grove, but were not Maple Grove. He was showing us places that weren't even close to what we were looking for, and he wouldn't take us to some of the places that we actually wanted to see. We kind of started to feel hopeless and to believe that we weren't going to find something in our price range. Since he wasn't really showing us what we wanted to see, we stopped going to look at places with him, kind of fired him. We found another realtor, and within about 2 weeks, we had bought a nice home in Maple Grove. At the time, we kind of thought something was up, but we weren't really sure what was going on. Looking back and kind of knowing what I know now, I believe that first realtor that we were working with was engaged in racial steering. Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center were about 35% white and 30% Black, and the rest of the population was primarily Asian. Maple Grove is about 80% white, 6% Black, with the remainder being Asian. So kind of, you can see like how that was still happening, you know, even 50 years later after that Fair Housing Act was passed. Articles are still being published today about how to avoid the practice of racial steering. Also, in 2021, the Des Moines Register published an article about the racial disparity of home loans in the Des Moines Metro. Black applicants were 2.6 times more likely to be denied a loan than similarly qualified white applicants. Iowa has the 5th greatest denial for Black applicants out of 71 metro areas. Over 66% of Polk County adults are homeowners, but less than 33% of Black Polk County adults are homeowners. And from about 2014 to 2017, only 1.6% of all home mortgages in Des Moines went to Black applicants. Racial disparity is one way that we struggle with housing as a human right. Another struggle is poverty. According to Access Iowa, 27% of renter households are extremely low income, and we have a shortage of just over 57,000 affordable rental homes in our state. There are only 42 homes for every 100 households who are extremely low income. Iowa Finance Authority also found that 39% of renters and 16% of homeowners are cost burdened, paying more than 30% of their income toward housing expenses. So these are just a few of the reasons that HomeInc exists, with our mission to ensure that every person has a place to call home. We started in 1967, around the time that Dr. King was advocating for fair housing in Chicago. Kind of an original document that I found from our founders around that time frame states that HomeInc began on the belief that dignity can be recovered by individuals assigned to the poverty category, and they will become productive citizens if they're assisted at the right time. So that's kind of what we aim for today, is to help people and assist them at the right time. Part of what we do is our landlord-tenant counseling. Our landlord-tenant counselors field about 3,500 calls a year, and they advise landlords and tenants about their rights and responsibilities. Our counselors help families to increase the quality of safety of their rental units, and they provide counseling on housing stability and preventing them from losing their homes. We field questions about the eviction process, deposits, repairs, maintenance, finding affordable rental units. We also do home ownership and home buyer education, where we help educate and counsel people to become home buyers. Many first-time home buyer and down payment assistance programs require they receive housing counseling from a HUD certified housing counselor. So we provide that assistance. We partner with different banks like NFC and Bankers Trust to provide education and counseling targeted at first-time Black homeowners to help those individuals become homeowners. We also build homes and help people with low to moderate incomes move into those homes. In our 55 years of existence, we've built or rehabilitated over 400 homes. We provide this education and counseling in a variety of different ways. We kind of have face-to-face, on the phone, online, different ways to kind of work with us so that transportation isn't necessarily a barrier to getting to us. We do an online e-home course that's self-paced where people can learn on their own. The curriculum kind of helps decide if homeownership is right for you, works with credit and finance, how much can they afford, how can they improve their credit, pre-approval mortgages, working with lenders, finding a home, the housing market, home inspections, your loan, escrow, property taxes, and home maintenance. So kind of all of the steps that you need to take in order to become a homeowner, we're going to help educate those. We also do 8-hour group education sessions with similar curriculum. And then after they've gone through the education, they're welcome to do free one-on-one counseling with our housing counselors to work with them toward whatever their goals look like. For those who aren't sure if they're ready to buy or even unsure if they want to try the education, we also do homeownership readiness assessments. And that's where we kind of get everyone's basic information, pull their credit report, ask about monthly expenses and income, talk about obstacles, set goals, and create plans individually with them to move toward homeownership or to help decide if maybe they aren't quite there yet. Everyone's journey is a little different. Some people come in and they're very ready to buy, and we get them connected with those different banks right away. Other folks, it may take years to get there, but that's something that we're willing to work on it with folks as long as they're willing to work on it. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell. Kind of close with a quote from one of our families. One of our families were kind of working to remain clean and sober. By developing financial stability, they hope to continue sobriety, one day move out of the city and save more money. They're glad to be part of the homie community and a part of a program that they say actually works. They believe housing is the foundation of recovery for their family. They say that having a home in our life has been more important than even counseling and therapy. We've been able to overcome an immense amount of territory because of new security. Not having to face re-registering the kids in new schools, not moving has helped us to look for jobs and to maintain our budget. So just kind of how our services have really, and just having a home has really affected that one family.
Fantastic, fantastic. Oh my gosh, great information. I really applaud, I applaud you, and I applaud all of these entities, agencies for the work that you're doing in this space. And you started out talking about a little bit of the history of this journey that has really impacted people of color, people that are underserved in our society, and the systems, unfortunately, that were in place that were barriers. And so I think, again, exposing some of these barriers and systems and then addressing them and helping people to recognize, had you not had that experience, maybe your story might have been different. But so thank you for your transparency and sharing your experience. And again, I applaud each of you for the work that you do. And I do hope that people will continue to take advantage of these resources so that they can then start engaging in a process to move the needle for themselves. That testimony was extremely powerful. And I hope that it spoke to others yet today. Jen, again, thank you so much. Any closing thought or comment? You did a phenomenal job in sharing the testimony and your organization.
Thanks, Robin. I think just send people our way. The more people, the better. We really want to work with people. We really want people to become homeowners. So just send them over.
There you go. One thing, I don't know, Luke, if we've done this, but will there be, I know you sent out the email addresses, but I didn't know if there was going to be like a resource list of other resources and things that people might be able to access. If not, then they can certainly reach out to these individuals and get that information. But who knows, maybe there could be a tip sheet or a resource list or something put together and sent to attendees today. So I shall not delay any further. We're going to move right on to our next presenter. And so we had things kicked off today, hearing from the faith community, and now we're wrapping it up with the faith community. Presenting next is none other than the pastor of Mission Temple Church of God in Christ, Pastor James E.P. McNear Jr. And as I told him as we got started, I went snooping a little bit on his Facebook page, and I saw him pictured below a quote, and the quote is inscribed on a memorial wall at Fort Des Moines, which reads, and I wanted to share that with you. And the quote reads, let me get my mouse back over here to move this thing. "We learned and grew and were transformed, not so much by what we did, but by why and how we did it." May the transforming power of working together to address ill conditions too often experienced by far too many be realized as we listen to this local pastor who partnered with the faith community to provide food service and bring awareness about COVID-19 vaccines to underserved families, and who also believes the ill leftovers from COVID-19 can be best addressed when done as envisioned by Dr. King, working together. So now we're going to talk about working together, accessing affordable home ownership. Pastor McNear, hear ye him.
Thank you so much. You did do some digging. That comes from many years in my past as a teacher and a recording artist, and all during that time, clergyman, man of the cloth. I come from 3 generations of educators, and I also come from 4 generations of preachers. So I have an extensive background in caring for people. My parents, my mother was a public school teacher and taught for 35 years in Des Moines Public Schools, was recognized as a master teacher on her credentials. My father had a doctor's degree that he achieved later in life at around 70 years old. And so I'm very much aware of service and what service means. Jan, thank you for sharing your anecdotal story. I had one included in my presentation, and I was really nervous about whether I should do that. But you gave me much courage, because those things still are happening and they do exist. And I'm so grateful to run into partners and all of these agencies that are dedicated to eradicating and making this the dream of Dr. King come to pass. We've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of things to do. And in researching this, I kind of found, and some people have kind of touched on it, and I made my presentation as a runner who would pass the baton, or in baseball, you would call it advancing the runner. But I'm in the position of closing out this presentation. Wonderful information that has been presented. And thank you for inviting me. I think I would like to start with just the beginning. And we know this was all due to the Fair Housing Act being signed in 1968, and we understand that it was the result of a tragedy, and but it was the culmination of one of the first major movements in the North. Most of the movement was happening in the South. Memphis, Tennessee, which I'm very familiar with, that city and that area of the country. My father was a son of a sharecropper in Southeast Missouri, which was 20 miles outside of Blytheville, Arkansas. And so I'm very much aware of those things and what was going on down there. But Martin Luther King was requested to come to Chicago because there were some dire things that were happening there, and they needed his credibility to address the injustice, the social injustice that was happening in housing there in the area. Those of us that are of a certain age, we're aware of the green experiment and everything that happened, Cabrini Green, and we're aware of the fallout from that happening. But those things still exist, and so Dr. Martin Luther King had a lot of things on a lot of different areas happening and that he was trying to give attention to, and devoted the last part of his life to fair housing. And I found that very interesting. I'm going to borrow from some excerpts of NPR broadcasts, I think that aired around 2016, somewhere in there. And I want to borrow from some excerpts. I had planned to play some audio clips, but well, I think it's just as powerful. He began to be involved with what was called the Chicago Freedom Movement, which was a coalition there in the area. And this movement was designed really to champion the concept of open housing and to end the Chicago slums. Because I lived in Southern California, South LA for a little while, there is a great amount of disparity. And I got a chance to see that as a kid from the Midwest. I went there in 1977 to grow up a little bit and all of that. But I was exposed to some things I had never seen. There was great financial disparity, all of those things. And those things were very evident in Chicago. This happened in conjunction with the March on Selma, Alabama in 1965. The Chicago movement, like I said, was considered to be the first major Northern movement that was to benefit African Americans in the North. There's a statement that he makes when he gets there, and I thought it was absolutely, of course, everything he said was phenomenal, but I thought it was very important to understand that he was not just a person who talked the talk. He says now it's time to get rid of the slums and the ghettos of Chicago. And he says now is the time to make justice a reality over all of this entire nation. Now is that time. But not only did he say that, he moved his family there. He moved his entire family there to experience what was going on. It's important for us to be intricately involved in the things that we're trying to champion. And so he, as a leader, any good leader would do, he mimicked some things. And of course, I won't spend a whole lot of time, but he mimicked the great Martin Luther. When they decided what their concerns were, they marched to the city hall and he put those concerns on the door of City Hall so that all could see. But as we know, and as Jan shared with us, it's really hard to eradicate this idea of racism when it takes so many forms and it's on so many fronts. As a reality, that struggle is real for many of us. In 1995, my wife and I experienced some similar things, and I was, like I said, I was very hesitant to share this, but I think it's important. We experienced the same type of thing. We were a little bit younger. I won't share exactly how old I am, but we were a little bit younger, and we were looking for a home. Our family was growing. We moved from California, from LA, which I knew that coming here, we would have a great opportunity probably to own property. The average home there was at least in the 80s was $400,000 or $500,000. And we didn't even have a lawn, and so we came here, got the opportunity, found a fixer-upper that had been abandoned literally for 8 or 9 years, fixed it up, and but it was small, and our children were growing, and our family was growing, and my youngest child was born during that time. And so we were looking for another home, and we found a home that we thought we liked. And I thought it was a strange thing, but I'm a rookie. I don't go around buying homes. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know. And we got to where we kind of we thought we closed the deal, but everything was great. Back in my day, we used to say copacetic. Everything was copacetic until we showed up to sign. And then it was all bets were off. Matter of fact, the home that we have finally found in South Des Moines, what happened, closed our deal. And no one's supposed to know what race you are before you move to the neighborhood. But when we got there, we found out that the previous owner had distributed flyers in the neighborhood to all of the white residents and asked them, did you know that the family moving to this house is Black? When we found that out, our real estate agent, who also is a person of color, Latina, and she took it upon herself to go around the entire neighborhood and distribute other flyers that said, welcome to the neighborhood, Reverend and Mrs. McNear. Now, that was devastating to me because 2 weeks prior, in that part of town, there had been cross burnings on the lawn in a particular place. So we were petrified that we were moving from a place that was used to seeing people that looked like us to a place that we were the only family of color in that neighborhood. So those things do happen and they do exist. But I will say that there have been advancements made. We live in a place now that I swore when I was young I would never live. And so there have been advancements made, and we live in a place that is welcoming and all of those things. So I don't want to paint a terrible picture, but I just want to tell you that those things do exist. Jesse Jackson at that time was 25 years old. He was a theology student there in the Chicago area. And he says, we couldn't use the hospitals. We couldn't sit in the parks. We could not move to this area. And this area was a place called Halstead Street, where it was literally known that if you are a person of color, this is the line. You don't go here. You're not welcomed here. I hate to say it, that growing up in Des Moines and the young lady that was on here earlier, Kenia, said that she's an East Sider. Yes, I'm an East Sider. I grew up on the East Side, just north of Williams Stadium. But there were places even on the East Side that we were very, very cautious to go when I was growing up. It's important for us to understand that in 1966, he moved his family to Chicago. Don Rose, who was King's press secretary at the time, said the original concept was a campaign to end slums, but not just ending slums. And Reverend Jenkins gave us a mandate here of how we can work together. And I want to address that. How we can continue to work together and make things happen. Our ministry, we have chosen to be the conduit for information. We serve at least 100 families a week with our food bank program and other services that we offer. But inside of that, not just giving food, but we're giving other information. So I'm glad to to meet and to see entities that I already know, but I'm glad to meet others that we can be the ones that help to pass the baton, because I think a lot of times people are either afraid to admit that they don't know or uncomfortable with whatever their situation. They might be an undocumented immigrant, or and I'm using those terms incorrectly, but a documented person and an undocumented person. We find that even in dealing with the food bank, there are people that are afraid. They don't want to be identified. And so they do it in other ways. And I kind of share with the staff, and we have a wonderful staff, and we partnered with Corinthian and Vax Des Moines and all those types of things. That's what we just roll up our sleeves and just get the information out there. That's what we try to do. And I think we all should do that. And I know that sometimes even grants make entities territorial, but we have to understand that we serve the greater good. We serve the people that we say that we're passionate about. So it really doesn't matter how we do.
Pastor McNear,
Yes.
I got all wrapped up in your conversation, and I failed at my job. I should have given you a warning. We are at our time.
Okay.
But if you could just kind of wrap it up for those that have to get off, we certainly understand. But if you could just kind of give us a wrap up statement, we would appreciate that, because I got caught. I really was engaged with your conversation. So thank you for sharing.
And I tried. When I missed my stopwatch when I put it on there. I apologize.
You're fine.
But with that being said, it is a wonderful thing that we are all here and passionate about what we do, and we need to share our information. Try to take it to that grassroots level, even if it's door to door, even if it's whatever we have to do to make a greater effort, a greater emphasis on getting people connected with services and resources. That's got to be our job. And I appreciate this opportunity, appreciate everyone that is on here. Shameless plug, that's exactly what we're doing Saturday from 9 to 11, is trying to connect people with vocational training, vocational information, so that you can earn a living wage to be able to have affordable housing. So God bless you.
Excellent.
Thank you
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so very, very much. This has been so informative. I do hope that many of our participants had takeaways, good takeaways, and stay tuned for more information. There's another webinar that I will allow Sister Barbretta to talk about that's coming up in a couple of days. So it has been my pleasure. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to facilitate this discussion, and be blessed. Barbretta, you're muted. There you go.
I think I'm okay now. And it'll just take 1 minute, because the next question always is, like, what is next? And next is on the 12th, we will have a webinar at 6 p.m. and it's about revitalizing neighborhoods. But you will hear some of similar information, but it's a whole group, another group of panelists. And we had the 2 times because families work. Some work days, some work nights. So we had to have one during the day and one during the evening. The next thing is that most of the people on the webinar and we're panelists, we also have a booklet, and it will come out next week. The booklet is done, but we didn't want it to run into all of this other stuff and the Zooms and have people confused. So we're getting the panels out of the way because we wanted to first have the community meet the faces, meet the people, that are working in this area. So the booklet will come out next week after we've cleared some of the other things. The next thing is Luke is recording. So this both webinars will be posted, and we'll put it out there and let people know, because you can then pass it on, the link, to somebody else. You know, I attended this webinar and it was really great, and they will be able to use that. Also, if they work with groups like sorority, fraternities, civic groups, they may want to, you know, go onto the link and have a session as well. And since then, since the program has been out, there has been a request for a reception or something in April to actually recognize the work and the contributions that all of you have given to this part of the project. So we want to recognize that, but then also recognize the 55 years of the Fair Housing Act. Robin, I want to thank you so much. You are super. I want to thank Luke for being behind the scenes and doing all that stuff. And then Hannah Nelson, which most of you know, Hannah is the one that did all of the assets and the graphic design. And the booklet is just awesome. So we'll get that out electronically. And then I will be taking hard copies to like barbershops, beauty shops, and other places. And then I think Luke has the information in the chat as well. Thank you so much. I mean, this was just wonderful. At one time, Luke, I saw about 51 people signed on. Did you see more than that?
Nope, that was right. We had a lot of
Okay.
participation.
Yeah, a lot of participation. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Corinthian and United Way and AmeriCorps and all of the other banks and financial institutions and credit unions and Evelyn K. Davis. I thought, I know Ms. Davis is just smiling down and totally happy, Ron. Yeah, Robin, you told it the same way she would tell it.
All right.
And
And
last but
thank
not
you, my brother, for your hard work, your heart for people, and your constant giving, You're generous. You're very generous. Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody have
And
a
thank
good
you
lunch.
for every presenter that was here. Thank you for the information you shared. And I'll probably be in touch because I do little programs like this at church too.